Hey guys, how's it going? I'm Carson. If you don't know about my online ministry, Crimson Sins Washed Away, I have an online ministry on Instagram. We have a couple thousand followers, and it's hosted between about me and 3 other people that kind of all work together to help make videos and everything. But I wanted to come onto YouTube and make my own personal account to start preaching on YouTube, as well as taking like clips and excerpts of my own videos and post them on the Instagram also. So if you guys are not following the Instagram, I would love for y'all to go ahead and go show some love and support to that. But anyways, welcome to today's video. I'm going to be preaching on love, lust, and romance because this is something that's been going on in my life recently, where I've been trying to discover what exactly a true biblical love is and how to understand a relationship type love with your significant other, and how to tell, like, how do you know if you should be loving this person greater than the other person, and stuff along those lines. So I really just want to talk about this today. So let's dive right in. So, love, lust, and romance. What's the difference? What's right? Like, we know that these all three things kind of pertain to like relationships and how this goes on. So I have the dictionary definitions and the biblical definitions for these. So the dictionary definition of love is an intense feeling of deep affection. The dictionary definition of lust is a very strong sexual desire, and for romance, it is a feeling of excitement and mystery associated with love. Now, the biblical definitions are kind of like a lot different than what the dictionary definitions would say. So, the biblical definition of love is from 1 Corinthians 13 verses 4 through 7, which says, "Love is patient, love is kind, it is not jealous, love does not brag, it is not arrogant, it does not act disgracefully, it does not seek its own benefit, it is not provoked, does not keep an account of wrong suffered, it does not rejoice in unrighteousness, but rejoices with the truth. It keeps every confidence, believes all things, hopes all things, and endures all things." That is what love is. Love is a choice, an action you make daily, not a feeling. Now, the biblical definition of lust says, "But I say to you that everyone who looks at a woman with lust for her has already committed adultery with her in his heart. Now, if your right eye is causing you to sin, tear it out and throw it away from you. For it is better to lose one of the parts of your body than for your whole body to be thrown into hell. And if your right hand is causing you to sin, cut it off and throw it away from you. For it is better for you to lose one of the parts of your body than for your whole body to go into hell." That's from Matthew 5, verses 28 through 30. And the biblical definition of romance is, there's not one, because romance is a pagan concept from a Roman origin. If you've ever not noticed, the root word of romance is Roman. And it actually comes from the Latin word romanicus, which means of Roman origin. Which, if we know anything about that, we know that the Romans were a pagan land. So there's that. Makes you really question about romance in today's society. Alright, so why did I compare these? Well, we know that the word is holy and true and is compiled directly of divine influence on all of its writings. And we know that these definitions and interpretations are true because there's nothing short of it. So, why did I compare these? I kind of just compare these, kind of like open up your eyes to see, like, you open up your eyes and you look around, you're like, okay, wait, love is a feeling, but it's a choice. And you read the biblical definition over and over again, and you're like, love isn't a feeling, love is just a choice. There's so much evidence that points towards the fact that love is just a choice, that the fact that society tries to tell us that it's a feeling, it's absolutely absurd. Love is not a feeling. Romance is a feeling, and romance is a pagan concept. And I'll dive in later if romance is good or bad, because I know it can be a little confusing, and I've done some of the studies on it, so I'll explain it later. So, we're called to love just as Christ did, but what does that mean? So in John 13, verse 34, it says, "I'm giving you a new commandment, that you love one another. Just as I have loved you, that you also love one another." And the highest form of love that I can think of on this earth would be a man to his bride. The term bride is one of the most heartfelt terms of endearment that anyone is able to express their love for in words. And in Revelation 19:7, it is written, "Let's rejoice and be glad and give the glory to him, because the marriage of the Lamb has come, and his bride has prepared herself." We are the church, and the church is Jesus' bride. So, the fact that we are considered Christ's bride, does that make it, and that is like the most heartfelt term, that is like the most love you can feel on this earth, is a groom to his bride on his wedding day. So, if we're supposed to love one another as Christ loves us, are we supposed to love one another as though they were our bride? And if that's the case, then who do we marry? I go deeper into this because it's something so, like, once I started digging deeper, I started asking more questions. So we're gonna go to this next part, which, by the way, I have explained already how to love people intimately, and that is also just kind of through what 1 Corinthians 13 verses 4 through 7 tells us. Love is patient, love is kind. Just go through that list, and that is how you love one another. You don't have to be intimate with every person, because that's not right. That's not what God told us to do. You can intimately love someone without sexual intimacy. You want to be intimate with people through the way that God has told us in His holy word. So, why should we follow the Bible and not what Google says? So, if we read in 1 Corinthians 10:20 and James 4:4, those are two verses right there that basically tell us, if you try to do what the world says and then you try to do what God says, you're sticking with the world. If you ever look at it like a multiplication problem, you got the negative times the positive, and it's still going to end up negative. That's what it's like being lukewarm. So don't do that. I mean, James 4 tells us that friendship with the world means hostility towards God. Therefore, whoever wishes to be a friend of the world makes himself an enemy of God. And 1 Corinthians 10:21 tells us, you can't drink from the cup of the Lord and from the cup of demons too. You cannot eat from the Lord's table and from the table of demons too. You can't. You pick both of them, and you're picking one of them, and the one of them is not the one you want. So pick God above those. That is as simple as that. I cannot stress that more than anything. Pick those. So I'm going back to this point that I was mentioning earlier. So if love isn't a feeling but an action, then what's the difference between loving someone as a friend and loving someone as a wife and a husband? So the question itself can be confusing because we're called to love everyone. So who's that one person you're supposed to spend the rest of your life with? Well, a little disclaimer here is that this is not a guide to find your perfect husband or wife in the future. This should just kind of be like opening your eyes to like what more you should look for, what you should be more inclined to look for, I guess. So first of all, there is no the one. There's not that one soulmate that you're gonna find. There might be people, but it's not a biblical concept. So this is a myth created by society to create a coping mechanism for breakups, and it's not a biblical concept whatsoever. Love on earth is faulty, not perfect. God's love is the only perfect love. So every single person you run into, they're gonna have their faults, they're gonna have their imperfections, they're gonna have their flaws. They're not gonna be perfect. That Song of Solomon 4:7, Solomon did not have a perfect wife. He had 700 wives and 300 concubines, and guess what? Not one of them was perfect. Boom. All right. Next point. Finding that person that you want to spend the rest of your life with is going to be up to you in the end. And some choices that you need to make sure that they are equipped with is they must be a believer of the Lord, a serious believer, not lukewarm, and not just whenever you're talking with this person, it shouldn't just be like, hey, do you believe in God? Yeah. Okay. That should not be it. Your relationship should be centered directly around Christ. Nothing more. Wait, I mean, oh my gosh, why do I keep saying the wrong words? Nothing less. Your relationships should be centered directly around Christ. Nothing less. You must not be unequally yoked, which comes from 2 Corinthians 6:14. They must be willing to love as Christ did. They must love the Lord above all else, including you. The Lord comes above everything else. And they must know the difference between love and romance. If you do not know the difference between lust and love and romance, then whenever the honeymoon phase fades away, it can be really difficult. Because if your foundation of the relationship is not built on love and it's built on romance, those romantic feelings will die down. You can ask 99% of married couples and they will say the romantic feelings die down. So I need a relationship built on love and not romance. Now, forever is not guaranteed. However, true love never fails. So, all I'm trying to get with this point is that not all love is really love. So be honest with yourself. Always give your partner the benefit of the doubt, because love believes all things. So, you have to remember that if you're going through a relationship with another human being, another faulty, imperfect, flawed human being, that They will have their times where they mess up, and love from another human is not going to be perfect. The only perfect love is going to be from God, and you have to be willing to accept that. However, love never fails. God's love never fails. We know that much. He's never let us down. He never will let us down. You also need to be willing to accept the fact that with God's love never failing, human love should also never give up. Because if it does, it's not really love. And it was romance. So be wary about that. Make sure that you're focused on those loving actions and decisions and not those romantic feelings. And the last point that I was kind of stressing about is love is not a feeling. Love is a choice and a daily action you choose to make. Love is not a feeling. Romance is a feeling. You cannot be with someone anymore because you no longer love them. That is romance. Romance is the downfall of most relationships in today's society. And now, here we go. Why is romance bad? Romance is not a biblical concept. It's derived from the Roman origin, and the word itself comes from the Latin word romanticus, meaning it's from a Roman origin. In the Roman belief, their god of love, Cupid, is what fuels this romantic feeling between people with his bow and arrow of love. This entire concept of romance is not biblical at all. It's from the Romans, and it's quite a distaste to what the Bible considers love. Many people believe that romance is love and vice versa. It is such a misinterpreted concept. Romance can be used as a bonus to enjoy a relationship, but a relationship should be able to function and strive without romance. It should be solely based on love, as I stated earlier. If it is based on those romantic, inconsistent, and constantly changing feelings, then at times of distress and heartache, the relationship will fall apart. It must be based on love and not romance. We know that Jesus loved us, but he did not romanticize us. He loved us as his bride. And that, as again, is the most intimate form of love through love, not romance. So, in a sense, romance is not bad in the proper context, but it is nothing more than a bonus, and it is not worth anything in a relationship whatsoever. That is why it is so important to be fully certain of your unromanticized opinion on your partner, so when those romantic feelings fades away, your love is still there to support and strive in the relationship. However, one of the largest problems faced now in the world is lust. Love on its own is beautiful, but lust destroys it. Many people think that relationships are entirely dependent on the sex drive of their partners, or they believe that you cannot fully commit to someone unless you sleep with them first, and so much more. Lust is horrible. It ruins relationships, families, and lives. So why do people idolize it and lust after so many people and look at people as a good time rather than the person they'll love for the rest of their lives? So this is actually like something really important, because I know a lot of people that I go to school with that kind of just don't care. And I'm sure you know someone too. It is something so common in this day and age where people are just looking at other people as a good time rather than someone they'd want to spend the rest of their life with. So Jesus tells us that if we look at a woman with lust, then we've already committed adultery in our heart. And scripture says in Galatians 5:19 through 21, now the deeds of the flesh are evident, which are immorality, impurity, sensuality, idolatry, sorcery, enmities, strife, jealousy, outburst of anger, disputes, dissensions, factions, envying, drunkenness, carousing, and things like these, of which I forewarn you, just as I forewarned you, that those who practice such things will not inherit the kingdom of God. But with this verse, do not forget that we are already saved by God's incredible and amazingly merciful grace and nothing more. We can mess up and make genuine, honest mistakes, and the Lord will forgive us every single time. Scripture also says in Galatians 5:16, it says, but I say, walk by the Spirit, and you will not carry out the desires of the flesh. Walk by the Spirit, and you will not carry out the desires of the flesh. Now, to kind of conclude everything that I've just said, I really want to talk about just these 3 points again. Love, lust, and romance are 3 different concepts that do not mean any of the same things. Love is a choice, lust is a sexual desire, and romance is a feeling. Relationships should be built on love. Biblical love, patient love, kind love, real love. They should not be built on romance or lustful desires either. Jesus warns us about lust and tells us that it is better to gouge our eyes out and lose our one eye from looking at a woman lustfully than to lose our whole bodies in hell. It is serious. Relationships should aim to steer clear from romance initially, because it may be there, but the relationship would strive when those feelings are gone. Feelings come and go, but God remains the same yesterday, today, and tomorrow. Trust in God to guide you in love and everything, because He is love and loves you more than you could possibly imagine, which comes from Ephesians 3:19. And all I just want to do is I just want to pray that this message that I just preached to you guys, I pray that it made sense to someone, and that this could help someone discern between lust, love, and romance. God bless you all. I hope you have an amazing day, and I really hope that this message that I preached made sense to someone today. God bless you all.